or Wu-Tang Clan?
Wu-Tang.
Okay.
Wu-Tang is for the kids.
Wu-Tang
now,
for the
you know
children.
what? Besides that, man, Wu-Tang was dropping knowledge and positivity.
Right.
You know, NWA brought the age of destruction.
Damn. Jesus Christ.
NWA brought the age of destruction to our children and our culture.
Wow.
Period. Hey, I respect all of them as men.
Right.
But as the art form, and you want me to speak on the art form, I'm going to tell you what it is. That's where it started.
Wow.
That's where the agenda started, and that's where the destruction began.
Of gangster rap?
Well, Ice-T, yeah, Ice-T did that. I ain't say they started gangster rap, but what happened was when the president sent them that letter, they went ham. But they said it on record.
On record?
Absolutely. For the record. And I respect them for that, too.
He was on Drink Champs with Nori, and he made a comment about NWA and the impact that they had on hip hop and the gangster culture within the Black community. And so some of our West Coast hip hop artists, brothers and sisters, some of them took issue with Special Ed comment. Now, whether you agree with his words or not is one thing. Whether you agree with his words or not is one thing. Whether you agree with Special Ed's words, that's one thing. But if we are going to be totally honest, brothers and sisters, and I love my West Coast hip hop. I love my West Coast hip hop. Snoop Dogg, one of the most likable rappers. Dr. Dre, one of the most successful Black businessmen of all time. You feel me? I love my West Coast rappers. Corrupt, that's my brother right there. I love my West Coast artists. Kendrick, one of the greatest lyricists of all time. He also was more on the positive side. So we not disrespecting the West Coast hip hop. I love my Los Angeles, my Compton, my South Central family. I love LA. I love my West Coast Africans. But we do have to be honest, brothers and sisters. NWA did not start gangbanging. NWA did not start black on black crime. NWA did not start the misogyny of the Black woman. NWA did not start mass incarceration. They were not the beginning of gangster rap. There was gangster rappers before NWA. However, NWA was the most intense. When NWA hit the scene, they were the most intense gangster rap group we had ever seen. They took the profanity to a whole new level. They took the celebration of gangbanging to a whole new level. They took the promotion of drug selling and black on black violence to a whole new level. Okay? But we are not going to scapegoat NWA. We are not going to scapegoat NWA because guess what? NWA sold them records because we was listening to it. NWA sold the records because we were listening. NWA sold the records because we were listening to NWA. So what I'm saying is, we cannot be hypocrites. We made NWA what they were. So although Special Ed was largely correct in what he said, NWA took it, the negativity, the gangster rap culture, they took it to a whole new level, but we made them great. We listened to it. So there is no evaluation of NWA that can be made separate from the entire hip hop community. There is no evaluation of NWA, without an evaluation of the collaboration that the black community had in the success of NWA. And I want to say this. When you look at gangster rap today, when you look at gangster rap today, when you look at gangster rap today, the gangster rap music today makes NWA look like a gospel choir. The gangster rap music today makes NWA look like a gospel choir. NWA didn't invent drill rap. NWA didn't invent drill rap. The gangster rap today makes NWA looks like a gospel choir. So what am I saying? Live from Nat Turner Land, Druryville, Virginia. I'm live from Nat Turner Land, Druryville, Virginia. Pull up today at the Nat Turner Library. We celebrating Nat Turner's 223rd solar return. We celebrating Nat Turner's 223rd solar return. Text me for the address. Text me if you want the grand opening in February or spring. Text me if you want the grand opening February or spring. Black Queens, if you want the date with the doctor, make your $500 donation. Text me the receipt. Let me know what date we going to lunch, what restaurant you want to choose. But this is what I'm saying. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. This is what I'm saying. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. This is what I'm saying. I believe the ancestors used special ed. Shout out to special ed. I believe the ancestors used special ed to force a conversation about the future of hip hop music. I believe the ancestors used special ed to force a conversation about hip hop music, because this entire celebratory moment in hip hop, this entire 50 years celebration of hip hop, I've been saying we need a conversation on gangster rap, its negative impact, and the future of the hip hop culture. I've been saying this, but nobody has had that conversation. But because special ed made the controversial comment, which I don't think was controversial, special ed made the controversial comment, which I don't think is controversial, but because special ed made the controversial comment, which I don't think is controversial, now we got to have the conversation. Special ed forced a conversation on the impact gangster rap has had on the hip hop community. Thank you, special ed, for forcing the conversation on the impact gangster rap has had on the black community. Thank you, special ed, for forcing the conversation on the impact gangster rap has had on the black community. Now, I understand there's going to be a conversation about NWA's impact. And let us be clear. Let us be clear. NWA, they was young black men like the rest of us. Ice Cube, MC Ren, who I think is one of the greatest artists of all time. DJ Yella. Rest in peace to Eazy-E. They were young black men. They were teenagers and young adults. They went through the same process of manhood all black men go through. They were babies, y'all. They were babies. Just like all of us, do I want to be a gangster? Do I want to be a revolutionary? NWA went through that. Their music embodied that. Ice Cube kind of grew on from that, went into more conscious music. Okay? Snoop Dogg came out of that. He started doing more positive things. 50 Cent came out of that. Kendrick, who could be considered a positive rapper, he came out of the NWA family tree. Exhibit, one of the great underrated actors of all time. So there was some good that came out of it. But we do have to take accountability for the fact that NWA did take gangster rap to a whole new level. But they were children. They were children. They needed guidance from the OGs and they didn't get it. You can't blame a child for experiencing growing pains. You can't blame a child for experiencing growing pains. So we ain't canceling NWA. They are part of the history. They are part of the culture. We can't cancel them. If we're going to cancel them, you got to cancel half the rappers rapping right now. 90% of your popular artists are gangster rappers who make NWA look like a gospel choir. So when y'all go to LA and have this conversation, Special Ed and the East Coast rappers and the West Coast rappers, and y'all sit down at the table of brotherhood, when Special Ed and the East Coast rappers go to the West Coast and sit down with Corrupt and Daz and Exhibit and Snoop and everybody else and have this kind of game and have this conversation. I don't want y'all to only focus on the history of NWA. That would not be in our benefit. NWA has come and gone. That would not be in our benefit. Talk about gangster rap as an issue. Don't limit this to NWA. If you limit this conversation to NWA's impact, you do us a disservice. You can start with that, but you can't end with that. You can start with that, but you can't end with that. Talk about gangster rap, period. Talk about gangster rap today and whether or not it's in the best interest of the Black community. That should be the conversation. That should be the conversation. That should be the conversation. You could start with NWA, but don't limit it there. We're not going to make NWA the scapegoat. We're not going to make NWA the scapegoat. We're not going to make NWA the scapegoat. Special Ed was right, but we're not going to make NWA the scapegoat. What about gangster rap today? At least when NWA was out, you still had Public Enemy. When NWA was out, you still had X-Clan. When NWA was out, you still have Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers. When NWA was out, you still had alternatives. Prominent hip-hop alternatives. We don't have no alternatives today. We have very few alternatives today. I think Dead Prez is still doing their thing here and there. Arrested Development may still be doing their thing here and there, but we ain't got no alternatives today. Hip-hop is totally colonized by gangster rap today. Hip-hop has been totally colonized and compromised by hip-hop today. So have a conversation about right now, but let's not be dishonest. Let's not act like telling women to put their mouth on your penis is somehow beneficial to the Black community. Let's stop acting like gangster rappers only reflect the neighborhood they come from, because most of them don't live in that neighborhood no more. So why you still rapping about it? Most gangster rappers don't live in the neighborhood no more. So why you still rapping about drugs, killing people, going to jail, smoking weed, sexually exploiting Black women? Most of you don't even live in the ghetto. So if your excuse is, I'm only rapping about what I see, you don't see that no more because you don't live there no more. We got to have an honest conversation and stop this hypocrisy. See, the problem is Black people don't like being held accountable. The problem is Black people don't like being held accountable. You do have J. Cole, shout out to J. Cole. But the problem is Black people don't want to be held accountable. If we're going to sit here and act like gangster rap is good for the Black community, we're being dishonest. If we're going to sit here and act like gangster rap is somehow good for the Black community, we're being dishonest. If we're going to sit here and act like NWA was the Public Enemy of the West Coast, we are being dishonest. We are being dishonest. Talking about women giving you oral sex on the record ain't got nothing to do with protest music. Talking about blowing another black man's brains out has nothing to do with protest music. Stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. Stand up and be held accountable. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. I wouldn't mind participating in the conversation. I grew up in the hip hop era. I remember when NWA broke. I remember listening to the music and the whole nine. But this is not just about NWA. It is about gangster rap and the future of hip hop music. This conversation is not just about NWA. They were 5 young black men finding their way who found fame and fortune along the path.